Welcome to another episode of NEC Suites, where we interview a community leader to glean insights to benefit our small business community. Today, we're having a conversation with Kirstin Delgado, who is a morning anchor with one of our major TV stations here in town. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
I'm looking forward to this for a couple of reasons. One, we are doing an activity that you really enjoy that I am very interested in learning. But in addition to that, we're kind of turning the tables where we get to interview a reporter. So I am looking forward to the conversation because I think you've got some amazing insights that you're going to be able to provide our small business community, which again is the objective of NEC Suites. So you shared with me at one point that you enjoy gift wrapping and do it professionally. I'm going to give you a lot of credit.
I do it professionally, but I am the best gift wrapper I know.
Well, you are going to prove it as well today. So I've got 2 items for future guests that we are going to wrap. And while we do that, I'll pepper you with different questions. And so it'll be conversational style on all the things that I'm hoping to learn from you, as well as the gift wrapping.
You want me to get started?
Yes.
To get started, we need space, right? So I'm just going to take this and move it out of the way momentarily. And first things first, when it comes to wrapping anything, is you need a box.
A box.
If it doesn't come in a box, I can't do anything for you. Except for put it in a bag. Unless it's just naturally a square shape, which is not often the case.
And oftentimes when you're a small business owner, or even here at the NEC, one of the things that we do is just throw the little swag in a bag and call it a day. But this is, I think, a little nicer of a gift. And I'm of the belief, gifts, when you get a present, it should be a present to get a present. And that's where we're making it look pretty.
Well, I agree with you. My thing is that everyone deserves to give and receive a beautifully wrapped gift. And I know for a lot of people it's not a priority, and they might not be concerned with it, which is perfectly fine. Everyone has their thing. But for me, it's like, I just feel like a gift is a reflection of who I am. I love to give gifts is the thing. That's like my love language. And so for it to be beautifully packed is just kind of like the cherry on top.
What got you into wrapping? How'd you learn to do
it's so funny.
And I'm going to model yours.
Perfect.
As you do it, so that we can do
first things first, you want to get a box.
And those are the lids.
So you want to get a box, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it with the paper, so that when someone opens it, it's not just the gift that's wrapped in paper, but also kind of the box itself. Like bit of color, a pop, a kind of something else to it.
And you just used one sheet there, right?
Yeah, one sheet. So then I'll use another sheet as well for the actual gift itself. So to answer your question, I was the gift wrapper in my house. I started off just because I enjoyed gift wrapping. I'm a very organized person. And there's a satisfaction in being able to put a gift together because you start with nothing and then you have a product in the end.
Some people like gardening that way because it's the immediate sense of satisfaction.
Correct. Yeah. I don't have a green thumb though. So this is my version. So for me, I just became the gift wrapper of the house. And I think doing it so much, I got really good at it. And then gathering different tools and decor, I got more and more creative over time and realizing what I can do with what and that sort of thing. And it just kind of became my thing over time. And I get so much compliments on it that I started posting on social media. And it was funny. I remember one time one of my friends from college was like, every year I wait for you to see what you post. I know it's going to come out. It's like, all right, November, December's coming
over the holidays. I was going to say.
I know you're going to crank out some stuff. So, I just really enjoy it. And I think it just became, because I got better at it over time, it just was like, okay, the more energy I devote, the more I enjoy it. And I just enjoy it in general, you know? Not to say that by December 31st, I'm over it, because I am. But then by January something, I'm like, oh, I wish I had something to wrap.
Yeah. Well, and you've got Valentine's Day right around the corner from there. So you've got a little break. And then
birthdays and anniversaries. So I'm the wrapper in the house. Everyone just comes to me and says, here, take care of this for me.
Put the lids on it.
Yes. So this is like kind of an option. Once you put the lid on, depending on the way it fits, some people like to put a tape right on the box, which
keep it
is
sealed.
kind of annoying for people who have to open it. But for our purposes, for things to be nice and taut for the paper, we're going to need to actually
Okay.
put some tape on there.
What was your professional journey?
So the way it works in journalism is that you start in small markets and you make your way up. So in the U.S., there's about 200 markets. I think it's like 212 or something like that. And the number one market is New York. The second's Miami, or rather Los Angeles. And then in the top 20, you have Miami, Tampa, Orlando. So there's actually a lot of top 20 markets
in Florida.
And
is it based on population or
yes,
viewership?
Viewership. It's a whole Nielsen thing about how many TVs are in the market size and people. And things I don't really understand.
The senior component. You've got more time to watch TV.
So I started out in Columbus, Georgia, which at the time was market 128. And I was there for 2 years. And there I was I was an anchor, but I was also the editor and producer of the morning show. I did a lot of hats. I had a lot of hats.
Say, so you're not only presenting the content, you're having to research it.
And prepare the content for air. It was quite the undertaking. But
you learned.
But I learned. I learned quickly. And then I think a part of what was helpful, even though that was so stressful for 2 years, was that I did so much in such a short amount of time that I was able to make a huge jump, because I went from market 128 immediately to Orlando, which was at the time 17 or 18, 19. I can't remember now. So that was a big jump. And so, I mean, journalism is one of those things where you're really just kind of in the grind for a long time until you get to that point of a lot of paying your dues. It's a very what have you done for me lately business. So who cares if you're nominated for an Emmy or if you did a great investigative piece? What are you going to do today?
Well, victory is fleeting. I think that's the line.
And so,
but that's even for an entrepreneur. If you think of it, so normally CEOs have started. They're a one-man band or a micro enterprise. They're one person and their spouse that are doing the hustle, and then eventually bring on one person and then grow. But in the meantime, you've been everything to now just being so now I'm just doing sales and marketing, HR while someone else is doing the actual product or the distribution. And so kind of similar to your role, where a CEO has had to learn everything if they're doing something from ground up.
And it's very easy in that position to forget what you've done and what you've sacrificed to get to where you are, because you're just like, I'm just in it. I just got to get it done.
In the grind.
And then in the midst of it, you're like, oh, I did that, and that. But
which is actually, when we do these interviews, we're always featuring the craft or the hobby of the guest. And for me, it's learning a little more about them, but also demonstrating how other individuals decompress high stress positions that they have. What do they do to relax? Because that's important to your point.
Well, what's interesting about that is I think when I really kicked things into high gear with gift wrapping was actually in my first market in Columbus, because what people don't take into account about journalism is that it's very similar to the lifestyle of someone in the military, where you're bouncing around a lot every couple of years. And so it's difficult to make a home out of where you are, because your next job isn't in the same city or even the same state a lot of times.
Side of the country.
Correct. And so you're bouncing around every 2-3 years, and you're left in a position a lot of times where you're just by yourself. And so I was by myself most of the time in Columbus. I had my parents 2 hours away, so I'd kind of run to them, but not enough to something I could do every day. And so I had to learn how to feel my time. And a lot of it was like around holidays and stuff, I found myself being in a position where I could really devote a lot of quality into what I was doing it, because I had the time to do it. So I was really kind of able to hone my skills in gift wrapping with that time, because frankly, outside of work, I had nothing better to do. So
intentional learning.
Correct.
So I would normally just throw a bow on this and call it a day. Evidently, that's not what we're here to learn today.
You have to measure out how much paper you're going to need.
So
these lines are helpful. Not all gift wrap has these lines, but they're helpful. So I go in. First, you got to decide where you want the bow to be.
Okay.
Oh, well, because you want to be able to hide the seam with the ribbon, and it's a whole, you got to backtrack where you're going to end up. So because of the fact that there's like a crease here a little bit because of the top, I'm going to start here. So I'm going to put the bow here rather. So that means I have to cut the paper for that. So you want to conserve as much paper as you can.
Okay, I'm going to use the orange because the one that I'm wrapping is actually for an individual who works for Orange County.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I have a feel for it at this point, how much give I'm going to need on either end. About a quarter here you want to leave of space.
Okay.
And I would say on the top, leave about 3 rows of space. So
Just
you
on
want
the
to have, yeah, that way you don't waste as much paper.
Okay. Well, can you really salvage this down here though?
You can use it as a part of other gifts.
Okay.
So, and that's kind of more like building upon the gift wrap, which is a whole different thing. Now, there's like intro level and expert levels to this. The reason I don't love doing it this way is because depending on the gift wrap paper, you can actually see the tape. So I like doing naturally double-sided tape, so that way it's kind of more seamless. Or expert level, which I've been doing in recent years because it's so much easier, is actually using a glue gun. So that way I just put that right there and boom, and move it on.
And it lays flat. It doesn't bubble
lays
on
flat.
you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's of course a pain in the butt for people who have to open it, but for me it gives a seamless look, which that's what I'm concerned with.
How funny. So we're doing this interview and you've not flinched because obviously you're on TV all the time, but do you get nervous when you do public speaking at all? Larger events, activities? How did you get over that?
You know, it's so funny because I know that for a long time that was like the #1 fear is public speaking.
There are people that would rather die than
rather jump out of off a building or out of a plane, which terrifies me. I would never do that. I never had a concern with public speaking. I think for me, I'm a fast speaker, and so it's a matter of slowing down and concentrating on what I'm saying.
Did that take you long to be conscious of it?
I'm still conscious of it today. Okay. It's a constant conversation with myself, even when I'm on air in real time. Hey, slow down.
Take a breath.
Take a breath. No one's rushing you to read this copy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a constant conversation.
Does that help you relax as well, or did it help you relax early on?
Yes and no. I mean, I'm more comfortable in who I am as an anchor now than I was even 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But it's just one of those practice makes perfect things, and even not even perfect, but better. Practice makes better. But I think the most important thing for me and for anyone is being prepared, right? So if I'm going to give a speech about anything, knowing the topic inside out is really, really helpful. And that's especially on the anchor desk when you're, for example, in the middle of a hurricane and you have to give the meteorologist a break because they've been speaking for 45 minutes. You know, knowing just generally speaking and being able to pull from your background and say, well, I remember during Hurricane Ian, there was a similar situation where blah, 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 blah.
And then filling time.
And filling time.
Well, especially during weather situations because you're having to do 24 hours.
Or in situations where you're dealing with breaking news where we barely know anything, but I can say, that part of town is interesting. It's happened there because across the street is XYZ, and oftentimes people hang out on that corner or whatever. So knowing your surroundings, knowing what's happening around you, and having that to kind of pull from is very important on the desk. In terms of giving speeches, the version of that is just being prepared, knowing about the topic, knowing about the company, knowing about all that background, so you can pull from that in real time.
So how are you able to do that in new markets? So be it where you
have to get to know the market
quickly.
So for me, being back in Orlando, I was in Orlando previously to my time at my current station, so I already knew the market, so it made it easier. But I had a huge problem with that my first market in Columbus because even though I was raised in Georgia, I wasn't raised in that part of Georgia, and it was a whole different kind of feel because Columbus is on the border of Georgia and Alabama, and we broadcasted in both Georgia and Alabama.
Oh, wow.
And it was like sports and, you know, sports country. Sports was a religion there, and I didn't understand that. Like, it was Auburn University, it was, you know, all these different things, which I had no real understanding of. It just wasn't part of my life being closer to Atlanta, which sounds silly because it's still the South, but in my world,
it's different.
Yeah,
it's like Miami and Orlando. We're very different markets.
So it took a long time to realize what was important to that particular market, what stood out there. Obviously, there's Fort Benning is there, so obviously military stories were important. They had
probably a major employer too.
Correct. Yeah. So that's a huge economic impact there. I mean, the joke was you know, without Fort Benning, Columbus wouldn't be what it is financially, economically. Getting to know, again, just the local streets, where you're at, where you're going, where maybe there's congestion here or not there, and other economic factors like Synovus, the bank that's headquartered there. So just getting to know all that stuff. The best way to do that is when you're a reporter, because you're going to different parts of the city, learning different things. But I went as an anchor, so I had to kind of do the work on my own to figure out what's what. You know,
Yeah.
it was more work for sure. Kind of have to eyeball it a little bit, but if you use this as a measurement, you
Okay.
want to put it just kind of overlapping.
Slightly overlapping.
Yes. The beautiful thing about gift wrapping is that you can actually fix your mistakes pretty easily.
Okay.
It's
forgiving.
A lot, correct.
Forgiving
People
craft.
might not think of that because it's like, oh, you're dealing with paper, you make the cut, it's over. But
Yeah.
there's always a workaround.
Camouflage it.
When I think of anchors and just even reporting, you've got to have an ease with talking to individuals because you're wanting to get the information out. And you don't want it to be deer in headlights where they stumble in what they're communicating to you, like I did just now. But I almost associate that with sales. So it's getting to know someone. How do you find getting to know people? Is there a shortcut or not a shortcut? Is there a strategy in how you get the information from individuals or very quickly get them to feel comfortable talking to you?
Compassion.
So
For me,
understanding their
it's compassion. So a lot of times as a journalist, you're put in a position, especially as a reporter, where you have to ask really tough questions. Questions that can sometimes seem almost dumb to ask, if you will.
Okay.
Right? And I'll give you a really harsh example to that point. I was on a story once where a child unfortunately passed away, had just recently learned how to walk and got away from the parents, ran out of the house, and was killed. You know, I have my producer on the phone telling me, okay, go talk to the parents.
Yeah, that's
and I'm going, you want me to ask them how they feel right now? That's a really dumb question to ask, right? But the way to ask that and get your response is, I can't imagine what you're going through. That's the same thing, right? So it's compassion and it's knowing how to use your words and your tone in a way that someone's going to respond to.
Okay.
Versus going, how do you feel right now?
Yeah.
I'm going, I can't imagine what you've been through.
Correct.
And you can get the same response if it is that those parents are willing to talk, right? Because a lot of times,
Well, that's just tragic.
Correct.
It's
too tragic, right?
That. You're not getting anything from me.
Correct.
But a bunch of
and in that
tears.
situation, I didn't even bother. Frankly, I was like, you're asking too much of me to go ask these parents.
Why is that an important question? I've always wondered that.
So here's the background on that. It's very easy for me to say something tragic just happened, right?
Okay.
It's different when you hear from the victim of that tragedy crying and telling you what happened, right?
Correct.
So if there was a tragic car accident, for example, I'll give you this. There was a hit and run that I covered once, and the husband died in the hit and run, and the wife was letting all the media in her home because she wanted to get his story out to find the person who had killed her husband.
Oh, okay.
And she's a mess and she's bawling. Literally, we're talking to her not even 24 hours after this happened. But she was happily inviting us into her home because for her, she said, this is a means to an end. You know, I can get my story out there. If someone saw something, maybe they'll see me and
call it
be able
in
to
or do
respond,
something.
right?
Yeah.
So the idea is I can be outside of that person's home saying an incredible tragedy happened outside of this woman's home last night. Her husband was killed by such and such, blah, 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 right? But if I have her crying on air, desperately pleading with viewers to say, please, if you saw something, say something because I need justice for my husband. That's the difference. It's the humanity in what we're doing. It's difficult, but the reaction for the viewer, for anyone,
they're saying something genuine.
so you want to take and you want to, on either end, just kind of push it
in.
Okay. And then very quickly, you kind of hold and pull through. That way, see, you're doing so good.
Okay.
See, there you go. And then you want to do the same thing on the bottom. And what you have is kind of two ends that are very taut and ready to be folded down. Now, on either end, we probably have a little bit too much paper, so I'm going to go ahead and cut.
So what is the most interesting story, or do you call them stories, I guess, that you've ever reported on?
Gosh, that's a good question. Most interesting story that I've worked on. There was a story basically where a gentleman was attempting to help a complete stranger whose car had ended up in a body of water.
Oh.
And there was group of maybe 6 or 7 people that saw this happen in real time and tried to get that person out of the car.
Okay.
And a lot of times we look at people, we can look at them and go, oof, they're a little rough around the edges. But one of the people who attempted to rescue this person came back afterward to kind of see how everything had shaken out. And by then the scene had wrapped up, and he comes up to me and he's bawling. I mean, he's just losing it. And he's someone that if you just walk down the street, go, ooh, he's a little rough around the edges, you know? But I was so taken back by the fact that this person was absolutely broken.
Yeah.
At the thought that he couldn't help a complete stranger.
Wow. Wow.
He said, I was trying to break open the window, you know, I was trying to we almost got him out, but the seatbelt, we couldn't undo the seatbelt. And his voice is cracking, tears are coming down, and he's broken. I can tell he has this guilt about not being able to save a complete stranger. And I thought, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And I learned that day that you can't really judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Because this person that I would have written off and walked by and go, oof, he's a little rough around the edges, was absolutely broken at the thought that he felt like he failed in saving a complete stranger's life.
Wow.
When he risked his own life to do so.
Correct.
So that, to me, is the power of what we can do as journalists, because not only are we being
informing.
Not only are we informing, but like we're in a position to learn so much. I mean, I always say my favorite part of journalism is that as a reporter, one day you can be talking to a public official or CEO company. The next day you're covering an amusement ride, and the next day you're covering, you know, talking
shifting
about
gears and all kinds.
There's no facet of life that we don't cover, and it really makes you a well-rounded person because you truly understand what's happening around you.
Correct.
Because you get to experience it yourself every day.
Yeah, you get to know a little bit about everything if you think of it.
Because most people live their own bubbles, right? And you're forced to be in other people's bubbles, and so you don't have to live in your comfort culture.
Correct.
You know, you get
you're
forced
having
out
to
of
grow
that.
and challenge yourself.
And so I love that, because I always felt like I was always learning, and I was never put in a position where I was kind of stagnant, because I'm always learning something new.
As the economy and just technology advances and grows, it obviously becomes certain positions become a little more obsolete. So AI is the latest trend and craze in not only doing homework, but writing speeches. And how do you see that influencing the media industry?
I have different answers for personal and professional.
Okay.
So professionally speaking, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think it can be beneficial. I think the thing that people miss most when it comes to thinking of AI as it relates to journalism is that the reason people turn on a particular station is not necessarily because of the news content. That plays a huge role, but it's because the person that's delivering the news.
Okay.
They feel connected to you. I go out to the Publix or whatever, you know, running errands, and someone says, I watch you every morning. Like, I'm in their living room. They're in their bedroom. They're tied to not just a station, but to me, or else they could watch TV anywhere.
Correct.
And so I think as much as people would think they'd be okay with it, I think it would become very clear quickly that I don't want my news delivered from a robot that I know isn't real, that doesn't have
no
emotion.
Human
There's no.
yeah.
I don't think people actually want that. Right. I think it's cool because there's a novelty to it, but I think there would also be a component really quickly of this person isn't human.
Yeah.
This is I can't connect. How am I connecting to this person? My job is to make sure you get your news in the morning and that it's accurate and you're ready to go for the day, but it's also to connect with you. And I just, maybe 1,000 years from now, AI will be able to do that, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. What I love about ribbon is not only can you curl it, of course, but it can really help you hide mistakes.
Oh, well, let me tell you, some of my cutting skills.
So that can be a valuable thing. So we're going to put this along the line.
So you're doing it, running it around.
Yes.
The
So
edge.
what you're going to do is you're going to start out. So we're going to put the bow here, let's say. So you're going to put the ribbon right across that line, so that way it actually hides the crease.
Yep.
And people won't see, like, how did you cut this?
And it's just all the way around.
Yep. Okay. So you just kind of move it around. Obviously, what's inside might move, and so you'll have some things on the outside that come apart, but again, they can be fixed. everything has to be complementary, right?
Mhm.
So the bows we have are white, and that works with both.
Yeah.
Now, what I would say, and actually that would work, and you might kill me, I'm sorry.
Nope.
But okay, so for me, that bow very much works there.
Mhm.
Now, the bow also works for yours, but to tie it in, what I want to do is a double ribbon.
If you had to choose one word to describe yourself, what would it be?
Oh, gosh. I hate to lean on compassionate, probably compassionate.
Compassionate?
I'm very kind.
You don't jump out of bushes. and
No,
ambush.
yeah, right. And so just naturally, it's who I am. I wouldn't say that I'm a people pleaser. I'm not concerned with pleasing people.
Mhm.
I'm concerned with people being happy.
Okay.
So if I can,
And that's
step
just
in-
your nature.
It's just
though,
my
in
nature. And so if I can make you happy in my presence, that brings me joy
Mhm.
and makes me feel comfortable. Like that's naturally for something that motivates me. I'm not really sure why, just the way God made me.
Yeah.
But if I
That's the way
can,
God made you.
yeah,
Good enough.
it's if I can bring joy in some way to any experience, conversation, interaction, you name it, then I will. And so I think a part of that is being compassionate because it's just humanity at its
Mhm.
core. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I would say compassionate because I'm very much more concerned with other people's feelings than my own.
Now, what is the best business advice you have ever been given or that you give?
I have bookmarkers with quotes on them, and one of them is by Amelia Earhart, and I forgot the exact quote, but the sentiment is the hardest thing to do is decide to do it. The rest of it's easy.
Ah.
So
the
I
hardest
thought,
thing to do is to actually
yeah,
do
execute,
it.
just do
Yeah.
it, right? Because we get in our head so much about like, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? You overthink. It's like,
Correct.
just do the thing. The only way is through. Do the
Yeah.
thing. The rest of that's the hardest part of
Comes
it,
through.
right?
Yeah.
And the rest of it will fall,
Take care of
obviously, with
itself.
preparation and care and resources
Yeah.
will come to light. But if you don't actually make the step just to do it, you're not going to get anywhere.
Correct.
So I think that in terms of entrepreneurs is probably something that really rings true.
I'm going to put the bow on it.
I trust
like
you.
we started. Ta-da!
And that's it.
And that we get to call it a day. We wrap up all
Mhm.
our episodes with a phrase, and we're
Okay.
going to look at that camera
Mhm.
and we're going to say it together.
Start or grow your business, make connections,
and
NEC the possibilities.
Thanks for watching.